I've now restarted the YouTube stream, which hopefully, hey, okay, it's giving me the end stream button, which theoretically means, okay, YouTube is live now. Welcome, everyone. Now, one of the things, hi, for those of you who don't know, I'm Dimmer. I'm a coach at Major League Hacking, and I have been for 3 years now. Wow, it's been a while. Today we're going to be talking about Rust. Specifically, we're going to be doing Rustlings, which is Rustlang's official series of puzzles to help teach you the language. It was really fun. We started it yesterday, and we got through a lot of the basic concepts for the language. And then today we're getting into the middling stuff, and then tomorrow we should get into the really fun stuff at the end, including multi-threading and stuff like that. So I'm really excited. Yesterday was awesome. Excited for today. I'm so glad. I really liked yesterday as well. Let me scroll through. Oh my goodness, it's 404 in YouTube chat. Hello. I usually don't see YouTube chat. I just have it still open. I really should fix that at some point. I really should also have YouTube chat up. That is a thing that I should fix. Anyway, hello. Yesterday's was a bang. Amazing. I'm glad. That took me a sec to read. Let me scroll back through chat here. Hi, Dimmer, destroyer of sleep schedules. I was about 6 seconds from collapsing in agony and exhaustion, but then this pops up on my calendar. That is both very well written and very evocative. And also, please do not be existing in exhaustion and agony just to attend my stream. But I do appreciate seeing you here. Last night, your stream was at 2:30 in the night, so I tried to wake up till that long, but felt really sleepy by 1 a.m. So I set alarms to wake up, and not a single one of them worked because my phone died. That is totally fine. I'm glad you got sleep. Thankfully, tomorrow, my stream is going to be at an hour earlier than today even. So that'll be even earlier. And then my last two streams are going to be at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So a more reasonable time for y'all on the other side of the world. And those are on self-hosting encrypted web applications, which I'm really excited for. Excited to learn Rust too. Thank you, 404, for dropping the link for Lilum. Lilum, usually every single stream that we do is also going to be up on the YouTube, both live. I don't check YouTube chat. Most people do. It's a weird thing with my stream setup. And also the recording. Batu Rustling's progress, 12 out of 96. Tech debt estimate an hour. So you aren't in any tech debt, thankfully. Tech debt is when I've been reading
Hello, y'all.
Hello, 404. Cory Doctorow had a really good description of tech debt. That was when you do a really jank solution at the beginning of your project. When you tell yourself that you're going to fix it later, but then you never do. And everything that you build on top of your project is building on that jank.
Hello, y'all.
Hey, May. And then you eventually have this 50-story building built on whatever garbage you had around you at the time. And that is what tech debt is. So you are not in any tech debt because you're learning. I don't know how long it'll take you in hours. We are at, or I am at, 25 out of 96 based on what we did yesterday. That was 2 hours of work. So 26 out of 96, the percent there is 27. So it'll take me a total of about 8 hours if this pace continues. It'll probably be longer than that, maybe 10. So that gives you an estimate based on how long it's taking me. Hello, all. Sandra Kai, I'm sorry, I caught that one. Usually the best time to metal pipe is when I'm really focused on some code. If I'm chatting with y'all, I see all of the alerts on my screen. Because this is, I know I've shown this before, but this is what I see when I'm streaming. So you can see all of the different alerts up here, and I can actually make oh goodness.
I am waiting for you to look away.
I forgot that captions were on. Hopefully those work. Anyway. Great, I can shrink that down a little. But this is what I see. So I see a running list of when people follow and redeem those. So that's, yeah. Waiting for me to look away is important. I'm glad that captions work. It's a thing that I forgot that I implemented again. It broke for a while because the implementation I was using changed. They discontinued it. And then I set up a new solution, and it has been hidden behind a submenu, so I haven't been looking at it. Okay, now need to catch up. Missed yesterday's, dozed off early. Totally fine. I never want people to feel guilty for missing today's stream, because yesterday's stream was live until 5 a.m. Yeah, for people in different time zones, it's intense. I think last month I had so many exams I was literally not able to do anything else, but I had a ton of fun with them. They were based on critical thinking. That's always nice. It's always nice when you have an exam that isn't based on rote memorization. I just had my exam on Wednesday for my computer science class that I'm taking. And it was really nice because the way that the exam was structured, they would remind you, if they were going to ask you to use some weird syntax, they would remind you what the syntax was. The point of the exam was to see how well you understood the concepts and the data structures and things like that, and the basic syntax, not all of the weird, like, memorization stuff. Same was only able to install Rust and Rustlings, dozed off after. See, okay, but this is the wonderful thing about, I deliberately use like tutorials and resources that already exist on the internet for my streams, so that if you can't attend a stream or you can't attend all of the streams, it's not like I am the only place you can get that information. We're going to be doing Rustlings together, and it's fun to do that as a community, but it is not, you can do this outside of this. GES, I just remembered, Go Dimmer, you now once again share our pain with classes and assignments. All the best. Thanks for the follow, Nekafer. That is both really depressing to phrase it that way of like, oh my goodness, yes, you share our pain. And also, yes, I share the pain. One of the iconic projects that everyone who does computer science at the University of Michigan does is you learn how to make Euchre. Euchre is, so my VPN is set up on my other account in this computer and stays on reboot even when I never sign into that account. So I guess it's a good thing. It shows that Google doesn't have much on me, that it shows my stuff in German because my VPN goes to Switzerland. But anyway, Euchre is, if I get rid of the German, apologies to any German speakers in chat. Okay. Euchre is a trick-taking card game commonly played in Australia, Canada, Great Britain, New Zealand, and the Midwestern United States of America, baby. I live in Michigan, which is like smack dab in the top of the Midwest. Let me show you on a map. This is the Midwest. You can see that there are a couple of different like descriptions of what the Midwest is. I think this one is the largest like expanse. Some people will say it only includes this, but this is the Midwest. And Euchre is a very specific card game that people really don't play in the US except for in the Midwest. And even then it's not super common, and it has a lot of weird, interesting rules. So it is like this suffering. My grandparents in Iowa played it. Yes, exactly. This is the biggest project in the class that you do about halfway through. Maybe not necessarily the biggest, but it is the weirdest for people because they like, if you are learning Euchre and also learning data structures at the same time. I thankfully knew Euchre going into it, but many people were crying over the rules of Euchre. Again, understanding the pain of class assignments. What we're doing today though is Rustlings, which you can find, I'm going to drop this link in chat. It is an official thing that Rustlang releases and has released that allows you to do these puzzles and challenges on your own computer to make sure that the compiler works and all of that, and you can get used to all of the tools that you want to use. And you can also, yes, one of the most important things, this includes reading and responding to compiler messages. I've learned to love the Rust compiler because it is so descriptive and so helpful. So this has been a really useful resource. I again dropped that link in chat for y'all. It walks you through both installing Rust and also installing Rustlings, and then you just run it in a command line. And let me make this bigger. That is quite ugly. We're gonna exit out of this. A little bit bigger. Let's try this. There we go. That should be nice.
I've not really coded in a bit. You can say I am rusty.
But that's very good. I have been, as y'all have been to my streams before, know that generally I would describe my coding style as being able to make things work, but they're usually pretty jank. And for the first time, I'm in a class, like I've taken some algorithms classes online before, but I'm in like an in-person, like traditional classroom environment class that is based on like writing good code, theoretically. The standards aren't that high. It's the first data structures course at the university. But yeah, it is really interesting to be going from the jank to actually thinking about like, oh, how do I do this correctly? Batu, I'm used to the TypeScript for Node, Express, and Angular. So I'm used to good traces, but Rust is above and beyond. I really like that. Yeah, because I've switched to TypeScript recently, but I haven't been that immersed in it, so to speak. So I don't know that much about Rust traces or TypeScript traces. But yeah, it is cool seeing the more modern languages that are so like involved in helping you as a developer, rather than just kind of, I don't know, the C++ compiler, or at least the version of the compiler that we use in class is quite obtuse and not very useful. With that, we are on challenge 25 out of 96, which is move semantics 1, which yesterday we learned about how Rust is a memory safe language and that only one variable at any time can like own an object, and move semantics allows to change that ownership. So if we go to our text editor here, which is Z, because Z is a RAII, woo. I still only partially understand that, but at least now it is. I thought it was it. I know that it stands for resource acquisition is initialization. And I kind of understand what that means. Like the way that I contextualize it is just that the scope of an object in the heap, or of memory in the heap, should correspond to the scope of the variable. But that's about as far as I take it. Next assignment, write an algorithm to win at Go, the game. I mean, woof. That one, I'm not going to do that one. But if I were to, I would write it in Go, because of course I would. That would be a good project to learn a new language on. Sarcasm. Oh, but I'm using Z as my text editor here. You can use whatever text editor you feel most comfortable with. I'm using Z because it's kind of weird and cool, because it renders like a game. So it has like a really high frame rate and is designed to be really fast on macOS. And also it's written in Rust for Rust developers. It is by a team who did a lot of Rust work and wanted their own like text editor. So I figured it would be a good use here. Okay, we are on move semantics. Move semantics 1. So for those of you who have not seen this from yesterday, what we have is just a file, and this does not compile. And our job is to make this compile and function. And then we have this comment here, I am not done, that allows us to do multiple things to it. And then once we remove that comment, Rustlings will move on. So if we go back to our compiler here, cannot borrow vec as mutable as it is not declared as mutable. Vec.push 88 cannot borrow as mutable. Consider changing this to be mutable. So one of the things that Phasic was talking about yesterday is that every variable in Rust is it's not a constant. What is a non-mutable variable called? Carled. Immutable. Every variable is immutable in Rust. Oh my goodness. I almost said Java and then TypeScript. Rust. So what's interesting here is that our vector, we cannot push to add something at the end of the vector because our vector is not mutable. So our vector, I guess that makes sense. If we let mute and save it and we go back to our compiler, warning, variable does not need to be mutable. Oh, I was looking at the wrong vec. It's down here. So our syntax here for our functions, we have our function, the name of our function, then we have the properties of the function, which require types, and then we have our return type over here with the arrow operator. I talked about this last time as well, but if I open up text edit, I really should look into see if I can just make text edit default into plain text. But this is what your arrow operator would look like in most of your monospace fonts. In what is this? Zed. Oh my goodness, my brain is struggling with proper nouns today. It makes it look prettier with that, but it is just an arrow operator like any other. Let me look at chat here. Just FYI for Windows 11 developers, I'm using the VS Code dev container, which spins up by default with Rust Cargo, Rust Analyzer automatically installed. So fast start. And you can Rustling's LSP really quickly for debugging, although I haven't gotten to the debugger yet and running it with PID transparency yet. Help with the last piece would be much appreciated. I haven't gotten the debugger up and running with PID transparency yet. Oh, it's Debian. I don't know what you're referring to as, oh, it's Debian. I'm assuming the dev container, which I remember you talking about yesterday, but I have not been exposed to that concept before. If you ask more specific questions, I can help, but I have not done this myself personally. So if you ask more specific questions, we can Google some things together and look at forums and stuff like that. Windows 11 with Docker dev container, which is Linux Debian. Great. Okay, that makes sense. I am excited for my last 2 streams of the month, which are self-hosting secure web. What was the actual title? No worries, just checking audience to see if anyone can help. I am using WSL. If you're going to be on Windows, you should might as well be using WSL. Okay, what are self-hosting encrypted web applications? I'm really excited for that. Because we're going to be talking about Docker instances on Ubuntu servers, because I have set up more servers over in that corner, and we're going to be talking about how you can do that, and I'm really excited for that. Getting SSL certificates, setting up HSTS, server-side encryption, end-to-end encryption, all that jazz. It's going to be really exciting. I don't claim to be an expert, but I've gotten a couple of secure applications working, so I'm really excited to talk about that. Quick tangent. I want to bring this to y'all's attention just in case.
Tangent alert!
Tangent alert indeed.
Tangent alert!
Where is... I'm looking for a specific link. And the only place I know for sure I have it. Okay. I need to... Ooh, this is... Okay, we're going to keep tangenting. But have any of you ever used LocalSend? I highly recommend it. It is an open source alternative to AirDrop. And it can run basically on anything ever. So this is me sending something from my Android phone to my Mac laptop, but I could also send this to one of my Ubuntu instances over there, or to really anything. Highly recommend LocalSend. I just need to find a link. I texted this to someone who is a Windows user. Where did I text it? I wish I could convince everyone in my life to switch to Signal, but that is unfortunately... Here we go. Great. Oh, that is opening in the wrong browser. But yeah, we're just going to leave the headline up for a second. Stealing everything you've ever typed or viewed on your own Windows PC is now possible with 2 lines of code inside the Copilot Plus recall disaster. I'm also going to drop this in chat. I believe that Windows is working on it, but I know that developers, myself included, are often some of the first people to do things that are like being on the cutting edge, enabling these sort of features. And I just wanted to let you know that there are some deep security vulnerabilities with Windows Recall. or Copilot plus recall. So if you are on a Windows 11 device that has enough processing power to run this, maybe look into that. Okay, that's the end of my tangent. I just wanted to make sure people talking about Windows 11 that should be. No link is in the chat though. Excusez-moi. Thank you for letting me know. Wow, that's wild. Okay, I'll need to send this as my moderator account because the MLH account is not, when I send something in chat in my OBS, it's not actually sending. That's very good to know. I'm also now going to send the Rustlings link because apparently that didn't send before either. So those are both the links that I thought I had sent before. Wow, my chat instance in OBS is running weird. Is our G Sheet thing for link collection also working? Theoretically, I haven't tested it in a while. But that Raspberry Pi is still set up. Let me check that really quickly. Yes, it is running, but because of course it didn't, it has not caught my links today. But it is theoretically running. Again, it's a beta, but it caught all of my Rust stuff from yesterday. Interesting. It's probably something up with my internet connection. Historically stayed away from Copilot, but thank you for bringing that to our attention. Yeah, I am not here to tell you what to run on your machine, but that is a thing that I saw that has not been publicized widely enough, in my opinion. Okay. Oh, I'm going to drop the link to that spreadsheet as well. This is a spreadsheet that I built in a previous project that theoretically has a bot that'll collect links that are dropped by MLHers in chat and save them for you. So if you're looking at recordings of live streams, you can get those links. Of course, I just sent that in the way that links aren't sending right now. Will the link to the screenshot save itself? I don't believe so because it's not saving my links right now. And I don't know why, to be honest. Something really weird has happened with Twitch chat. But it caught a stream earlier today. Unless it's a weird timestamp thing. Yeah, no, it's just not working for some reason. Sorry, I don't know why. That is not what this stream is about. We have enough tangents, or I have enough tangents as it is. Ooh! Oof, indeed. Again, this is a good instance to talk about how a lot of my jank code happens. Does that work for everyone? Yeah, I can see that link, so I'm assuming everyone else can. And I can see it in both places. I believe it is just the way that I am sending code or sending chat messages that is not working. But anyway, tangents aside, let's take a look here at I just understood what this challenge is trying to teach us. So right here, this needs to be mutable. Did you send any links? You can't see any of the links? Oh my goodness, y'all can't see anything that I type in chat. Okay, I'm gonna put on my face cam here and dive into some back-end stuff of why Twitch would be rejecting both of my accounts in two different browser instances, which means theoretically Okay. Okay, I'm seeing in chat that we're back, and you can see the chat messages. Okay. I was like, oh, this has to be a VPN issue. This has to be something about my VPN setup. And then I turn off my VPN, forgetting that turning off my VPN kills my internet. That was a nerve-wracking couple of minutes of what have I done? I'm glad everything's back. I'm glad that you're seeing those chat messages. Let me drop some links in chat again. So someone else dropped Rustlings. Let me drop a link to that article that I was talking about. The chat window on screen is still frozen. RIP. Okay. I'll need to restart that. Okay. Theoretically. Hey, okay, that's now working. I'll need to do the same thing on this page. Can see your links now. Amazing. Okay, that means that now that you can see those links, and now that I've refreshed both chats, these links should be getting saved in the spreadsheet that I'm about to send. So this is the spreadsheet, the unofficial MLH stream link aggregator, which is capturing those links. Amazing. This is a spreadsheet. And then the last thing is sending Rustlings again in chat. Just that's saved for posterity. Just waiting for the stream to start again? Wait, what? Do some people... Oh, golly. Wait, do some people not have the stream right now? It looks live on my end. Everything looks live. Okay, stream's working for me. Okay, working for me. Okay. Okay. I'm glad everything is working. We have about halved our viewer numbers. So, apologies to all the people. But thankfully we're here, we're live, and everything is working now. I just dropped a lot of links in chat, so everything would be completely broken if that had continued. So this needs to be mutable because what we're doing here with let vec equal vec is we are taking ownership. We are moving vec, what we are passed, into our new variable here. And what that means is now this is the place in our code where the memory is owned, and it would be removed if it were to go out of scope. So this is where we now own it, but it is owned immutably. So we need to make it mutable here so that we can edit it while we are here. And then we return vec, and here again, we move it. We take ownership of this data here, and it is immutable again because it is just let. So we have passed an immutable object. We make it mutable for the length that we are using it here, and then we return an immutable object. Or when we return, we make it immutable again. If we save this and we go back to our compiler, it works. Okay, great. My little dance there celebration was that I just said a lot of like, this is how Rust works. And then if it still didn't compile, it would be quite an embarrassing problem. I can see Dimmer sneezing, LOL. So I mute. are my cables long enough to show this on camera? I have this little box here that allows me to control the volume of the microphone. And on top, there's a mute switch. Hear me. And then I can be talking again. So that is what I use when I'm like going to sneeze or something like that, so I don't blow your eardrums out. Anyway, I ran the Rustlings command from the WSL, navigated to the exercise folder within the WSL, and opened VS Code via the code command. Thank you, Ritwiki. No. Ritwik Trevetti. Helping each other out in chat. Okay. Not the correct solution, but trying is useful nonetheless. We're going to move on to move semantics number 2. And if we look at our compiler here, I can close out of this. We do not need you. Okay, our compiler is not happy with us. Compiling of exercise failed. Please try again. Here's the output. Warning, variable does not need to be mutable. And then we borrow of moved value. Oh, so we reference it after it has been moved. Value moved because vec has type, which does not implement the copy trait. And then value borrowed here after move. Dimmer loves those faders and knobs too much. Bought some faders for the home as well. I have had this one since I have had this microphone. So basically since I started streaming again after my like a couple month break, way back in like summer of 20... I don't remember if it was, I think it had to have been summer of 23. I had a couple months of a break.
No way.
Yeah, this hardware has been there for a while. But this is one knob, and now my day job involves all the faders and all the knobs. And yeah. How can I get the GitHub of this code? I joined very late. It is totally okay to join late. There's no such thing as joining late because this is not a class. I'm not taking attendance. There are no consequences. There's the link in chat for Rustlings. It'll get you set up. It'll give you all the challenges. It'll give you all the code. How do you run the compiler? I'm assuming this is to Batu. If that's to me, tag me. Someone asked me if I use Linux. I am a macOS user right now, but I eventually want to switch to Linux. All of my servers over there run Ubuntu server, and I've been spending so much time recently in SSL or SSH, like terminals into those servers, setting things up. And eventually, I'm on the long process of de-googling, and this is a Google Pixel 4a 5G, which is now a fairly old phone, but it can run Graphene OS, which is like a de-googled Android open source operating system. And eventually I'm going to switch to that and then maybe switch to Linux on my Mac. But the project for that is Asani Linux. Asahi Linux. Okay, I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. Asahi Linux. Because the M1 is, or all of the M series chips are entirely undocumented. So they're reverse engineering them from scratch to get the Linux kernel to run on them. It's actually been a really successful project. They currently have... Yes. They have the Fedora Asahi remix, which is their like recommendation. And I believe Linus Torvalds has been making commits to the Linux kernel from an M2 Air running Fedora Asahi. There we go. Okay, beat me to it. Linus Torvalds uses Asahi too. Are you M1 or M2? I'm running an M1. This is the base model 14-inch M1. So, not a cheap computer, but screw Linux, go Temple OS. I have a friend who uses Nix OS. And I don't... I'm looking for their about. Because I believe... Oh, whoa, first release was 2003. Okay. yeah, it's a very unique Linux distro that my friend uses, and I have said very similar things of like, why not just use Temple OS? Because it is a very niche operating system. Why do you want to switch to Linux? So part of it is self-righteous, like, just wanting all of my stuff to be open source and to like have more control over what happens on my computer. That kind of doesn't necessarily, that's not a super compelling argument when Mac OS is like, it's better than some alternatives, and has okay developer experience, privacy management, package management, all that jazz. But also it is just like, yeah, it is mainly just the idea of like, I have complete control over everything that happens on my computer. Mwahahaha. I could make kernel changes if I wanted to. Not that I would. That's really the only reason. It would not make my life better. I will phrase it that way. When using the launch script under the VS Code debugger, it would allow you to place a debug pause on any line. I just can't easily find how to set this up for Rust in VS Code. I don't know if Rust has a visual debugger. Currently looking through this. Okay, great. This makes a lot of sense to me, but let me share my screen and we can talk about it. Your debugger is not built into Rust. That's the wrong screen. There we go. You will need either Code LLDB or Microsoft C++, depending on what you're running on. I am a Code LLDB user because I'm a macOS user. And this provides your debugger, or C++ by Microsoft, which also provides your debugger. I'm going to drop this link in chat. Code LLDB is so good. For a little bit, I was using command line LLDB. Anyone have the thing that was shared yesterday to get started with Rust? 4.4, I don't know what you're referring to. The only thing that was really talked about yesterday was the stuff that was on the Rustlings page. Code LLDB is already installed automatically in the dev container. Don't worry, I'll research and find this. Dang, okay. Links or resources or how to get started. The way that I have been doing this, and this is all that I've done, is I already had the Xcode tools installed because I'm a dirty macOS user. And then this might be what we're referring to. This is the Rust installer. Again, it's linked in Rustlings, but I'm just going to paste it in chat. And I literally just copied this command and it did all the stuff for me. And then this is the command to install Rustlings. This is fun. Mac OS Linux, or if you are a Nix user. We were just talking about Nix OS. I didn't realize that it was also here. I just realized, have you... My question to you, Batu, did you build? Because you'll need to compile first before your debugger will work. Right? Yes. Wait, that... I take that back. That is... I am not entirely sure about that. Checking now, cargo run. It's been work, but I'll rebuild. Sorry that it's so difficult. I wish that I had more advice to give. That is always the most frustrating thing about systems that can install really easily, is that if and when they don't, it is harder. Because for other people, it just worked. Okay, what is our next challenge here? So you have the issue of our first one, or line 14, we don't necessarily need it to be mutable. Okay, let's take a look at this. So what it said here is, note, consider changing this parameter type in the function fillVec to borrow instead of owning if the value isn't necessary. Or if owning the value isn't necessary. Ah, clarification, it just worked when I started, hence 12 out of 96, but I'm trying to go one step further for better transparency when collaborating. That makes a lot of sense. Then apology, that is one step further than I know. But here, I believe if I were to put an ampersand here, we would borrow the value rather than own it. So this is basically saying pass by reference rather than pass by value. Ooh, mismatched types. Expected vec I32, found reference to a vector of integers. Now, this seems deranged, but what if we were to dereference that reference? Oh, bad timing. I was just looking at your first message, 404. I believe my exhaustion has hit the ceiling. Thank you so much very much for the awesome event. Thank you for coming, 404. Hopefully my future ones this week will be at a much better time for your time zone. An address of a pointer, LOL. Hi, Phasic. Welcome. Perfect timing to see probably the most jank thing I've written in Rust thus far. Have a good one, 404. Let's see what the compiler's yelling at me about for this one. Oh, that worked. Oh, wait. No, that did not work. I thought it worked because it showed fewer errors, but it shows fewer errors because my error was so bad that it aborted. Actually, star ampersand would cancel itself. Yes, so that's what I thought. Because the problem is that if I delete this, it's why I said it was the most jank thing I've written. We'll notice that here it's saying, note, consider changing this parameter in the function fillVec to borrow instead if owning the value isn't necessary, which theoretically it isn't necessary. We don't need this to own the value.
It just started raining here. The is just oof.
Oof? I don't know why what the is just oof. I just said that like the TTS. The is just oof. This is just oof. That's probably what that was meant to be. If you are inside in a place where you can stay dry, I always like the rain. Very appropriate. My feed of who is redeeming what has stopped. So it is completely anonymous who redeems what. I can't respond to you based on name because I don't know who is redeeming things, which is a little bit of an interesting vibe. Oh, but that's why I was doing the weirdness with the dereferencing a reference. Because how do we change? I'm going to do a hint here. When running this exercise for the first time, you'll notice an error about borrow of mood value. In Rust, when an argument is passed to a function and it is not explicitly returned, you can't use the original variable anymore. When we pass vec0 into fillvec, it's being moved into vec1, meaning we can't access vec0 anymore after the fact. Rust provides a couple of different ways to mitigate this issue. Feel free to try them all. You could make another separate version of the data that is in vec0 and pass that to fillvec instead. Make fillvec borrow its argument instead of taking ownership of it, and then copy the data within the function, vec clone, in order to return an owned vec I32. Oh, ho, 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 ho. So we can borrow here, and then dot clone. No. That is not what it was asking us to do. What if I just do that? Well, there we go. Okay. So if we just clone it, then we are no longer moving vec0. What was the other option? Yeah, so we just did number one. You can make another separate version of the data that's in vec0 and pass that to fillvec instead. That's what the clone was doing. I think the Rust book, there's a section on this stuff. Thank you for dropping the specific link. I do know that the Rust book has sections on everything that's covered here, that this is like the two go hand in hand, and I will read the Rust book if and when. But one of the things that I like about this is trying to like puzzle it out and figure it out myself, and then reading the Rust book. Make fillvec borrow its argument instead of taking ownership of it, and then copy the data within the function in order to return a node. Oh, I understand now. Fillvec is this function right here. So if we send in a borrowed version, and change this to a no. Okay, it's not liking what I just did there. Oh, it's because I have an extra curly. Hey, okay, so we can pass in a borrow and then return dot copy to return a normal vec. Method not found in reference. I'm just going to save this and see what the error is. Expected vec I32 found reference to a vec I32. Maybe we have to make the changes before the push. Oh, interesting idea. So again, this was my fear. The error is with the idea of copying a, if I'm reading this correctly, reference to a vec I32. And this is a vec I32 no matter what. because that's how we're able to pass in the reference and avoid taking ownership. Oh, we need to dereference it and make a copy of the dereferenced version. Oh. Ha, parentheses, I think. If I do this, we now dereference it and make a copy. No method found for VecI32. Wait, what? Thanks for the session. Too sleepy now. We'll follow the recording on YouTube in the morning. Bye. Thank you so much for coming. Again, hopefully, fingers crossed, my streams on tomorrow will be an hour earlier. And then on, I believe, Monday and Wednesday or Monday and Tuesday. On the 12th and on the 10th. So that should be, yeah. I have a stream Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. And the Monday and Wednesday streams are at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. 9 a.m. ET to IST. So that should be 6:30 p.m. for y'all, which is not early, but should be slightly more reasonable. Until then, have a good night, and thanks again for coming. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to what we had before here. This was our first, this is the state that the project started in. Help, consider cloning the value if performance cost is acceptable. So that is the solution that we tried first. But if we look in the hint, there are two solutions. There's make another copy and make fillVec borrow its argument instead of taking ownership of it, and then copy the data within the function vec.clone in order to return an owned VecI32. So to have it borrow, I believe is passing it as a reference. Meeting in 5 minutes. I need to drop by to. Thanks for streaming. Hopefully I'll catch up on Sunday. Cheers. Thanks for coming, Batu. Always nice seeing people. Bye for now. So, okay, we're now passing by reference. Make fillVec borrow its argument instead of taking ownership of it. Check. And then copy the data within the function vec.clone in order to return an owned VecI32. Oh, I was doing copy, not clone. Oh my goodness, that's what I was doing. I was typing .copy, vec.clone. Okay, we have a couple of different errors here. Cannot borrow star vec is mutable as it is behind an ampersand reference. Vec is an ampersand reference, so the data refers to so we'll need to do this earlier. So we clone inside the function. Okay, cool. I think it's vec clone rather than copy, since copy is not implemented on vec. Thank you, Phasic. That is where I got to eventually, but it took me a hot sec to realize that I was using the wrong keyword. So, okay, the two options are cloning it up here, which, because we are, I understand the distinction. So here we are, if we were to do it up here without the ampersand, we are just cloning it completely from one like non-referenced, from one owned copy to another owned copy. Whereas here, this clone is just taking the reference and making it a local variable. And I'm assuming there are performance reasons to do it this way, as evidenced in the way that the hint was formatted. I'm going to take a look at that link that you just sent, Phasic. Copy and clone in Rust. Ah, okay. Great. So I'm skimming this because, again, I'm not taking the time on stream necessarily to read huge walls of text, but I'm going to copy this so that it is saved in that spreadsheet. Thank you, Phasic. In essence, the difference is that copy can be done for things that are stored in the stack. Clone is done for things that are stored in the heap, is my reading of this. Yeah. So it's the difference between a bitwise copy, which you can do things on the stack, and when you need to copy not just the pointer to the heap. Great. Good to realize. With that, let's move on to the next challenge here. I'm very glad that I took the time to puzzle that out because I feel like I better understand this. Make me compile without adding new lines, just changing existing lines. No lines with multiple semicolons necessary. Let's take a look at our compiler errors. Warning, variable does not need to be mutable. Cannot borrow vec as mutable as it is not declared as mutable. Consider changing this to be mutable. Okay, so we have our same code as before. But instead, before, where we made a copy, here we are not making a copy. We are just directly using what is passed in, we are pushing to it, and then we are turning it in. So, if we put mute here, like it said in the compiler hint, okay. The difference between this one and the previous one is that the first line of fill line vec, that had let mute vec equals vec, is no longer there. You can, instead of adding that line back, add mute in one place that will change an existing binding to be a mutable binding instead of an immutable one. Great. Around the dev. Perfectly, exactly right. So instead of needing to directly like reassign it and recreate it, we can just claim that when we take in this parameter, we are making it mutable, which is cool. Nice syntactic sugar. Move semantics 4. Oh wait, let me get rid of the I'm done, or I am not done. Great. Refactor this code so that instead of passing vec0 into the fill vec function, the vector gets created in the function itself and is passed back to the main function. Ooh. Okay. So first we obviously need to remove this because we aren't passing anything in. The vector gets created in the function itself and passed back to the main function. The last things that we were doing, right here we did a pass by reference. I'm gonna undo that here. Instead, let's create and fill the vec in here. How do you do that? I honestly don't know because in order to create this, we obviously aren't going to hard code in this. Initialize with vec new maybe. That would make a lot of sense. You can either use, we were taught this as the, let's go back to our vecs here. What is this called? This is a, what does the bang do in Rust? It creates a, this is Rust the game. Where, I'm just missing, again, a proper noun. It's a macro. That's what it is. It is a vector macro. Thank you, Phasic. Oh my goodness. And Iran, you both got to it before I did. Anyway, we could use vec_new or that macro, but the problem is how do we get this data into here without passing it? Because based on my knowledge of programming languages, this is outside of scope. So let's take a look at our hint here. Stop reading whenever you feel like you have enough direction, or try doing one step and then fixing the compilers that result. So the end result is to get rid of the first line in the main that creates the new vector. Oh. Then do we just do this? If we want to get rid of that first line, can we just do that? That worked. Iran, I think, move the values to inside the method. I don't understand what this was supposed to be if we look at the hint. So then vec0 doesn't exist, so we can't pass it. Fillvec has not had its signature changed. Okay, I don't understand what this is teaching us. Surely not the right way to do it. It looks like it, though. Since we're not creating a new vec in the main anymore, we need to create a new vec in fillvec and fill it with the expected values. That is pretty directly telling us to create a new vector in here. Amog creator, how are you tracking which live stream I've already watched? Is there something I'm missing? I don't know what you are referring to there. If you can give some more context, I can better answer. The you here would be referring to either Twitch or YouTube and their cookies and their like saved data on you. I am not doing anything to do with that. I'm just sending an RTMP stream to these platforms. Parameter is not correct. May, if you can elaborate on what you mean by parameter is not correct, because specifically we're told that this should not have a parameter. Again, it no longer takes vec I32 as an argument. Gonna give a sec here because I've just asked 2 different people in chat some questions. Oh, okay, got it. Great. This one has taken me a sec too, and I don't understand what it's meant to be teaching us, other than I guess that we can return ownership of something that has been created in a function. Okay. Ah. How to run tests for vecs. If you can elaborate more on this. I don't know what you mean tests for vecs. These challenges come with their own set of tests. Okay, great. If you're looking to run it, that is where you can use rustlings, and then you can either type in the challenge name or use rustlings watch as the command. That is what I have done here, and that's why the compiler keeps updating it and automatically moving me on to the next challenge. Okay. In here, make it compile by reordering the lines, but without adding, changing, or removing any of them. Okay, I think I understand what this is doing. Basically, this is like some write locking stuff of like, it's stuff that I've thought about from like a database perspective. If you have a shared file between multiple users, you can't let multiple users edit the file at once. So here we have 2 references to the same variable, both of which are mutable, both of which are editable. And we can't let that happen, so to speak. because then both of them could edit it at once. So theoretically, if we reorder it to be that, it can now compile. Amazing. Okay. It feels good to be able to get one of these challenges. Print bang and vec bang are mackers because they need to be able to accept a variable number of arguments that are not known by the standard library until compile time. In other words, it's how standard library implements n-array function creation using a metaprogramming modality to define such functions at compile time. Interesting. Okay. I'm sure I get like the concept that you're referring to. I'm thinking about like, again, the idea that if you can't know what you're working with at compile time, you need to do something else. And I'm thinking like templates in C++ for God, I cannot remember my proper nouns today. It's when you have a type that can change based on like your class or your construct has different types. Anyway, like mutex locks. I don't know what a mutex lock is. Ah, okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yes, like a template for a function. Great, amazing. Generic types. That's the word that I was looking for. Generic types. Okay. Great. So if we reorder these, we mutate, we change, we mutate, we change. Okay. I am done. You can't change anything except adding or removing references. What? Whoa, that's a scary compiler error here. Borrow of moved value data. Great. String does not implement copy because string is stored in the heap. Value borrowed here after move. Okay. So it specifically says you can't change anything except adding or removing references. So theoretically, I can make get char a reference. And a reference. And neither of those should take ownership. Ooh, okay. Let's call the lifetime of this reference 1, asterisk 1, star 1. Temporary value is freed at the end of this statement. Ah. If I remove this, I think that'll fix it. No. Expected ampersand string, found string. Oh, should not take ownership, should take ownership. Remove that there. Ooh, okay. Need to make sure I remove that there as well. Where we actually pass in the data. And now we can remove that there. We can remove from all the places. Hey, and now it compiles. Okay. So when we don't want to take ownership, we do everything by reference. When we do everything by value. That, thankfully, makes good sense at face value. Great, that's move semantics, which is a very specific Rust thing. Memory safe, all that jazz. Now we're on to, wait, I knew this. We should now be on to structs, I think. Yes, okay. I looked this up before the stream. Ooh, I just looked at the time. Usually I like to do a 5-minute bio break in the middle of streams because I know that during our most busy global hack weeks, people are going to stream back to back to back to back. And also a lot of y'all are in very different time zones in different places. So I always like to take 5 minutes, stretch, get some water, all that jazz. I'm going to get our song up. Okay, theoretically I can play this from their official Bandcamp. It keeps autoplaying. And that should be better than playing it from the very beginning. I'm going to drop the Bandcamp again because I always like to credit this song. This is the song that we're going to be playing. We will be back in 5 minutes. Timer is up on the screen. Timer should be up on the screen. Oh no, timer is broken after... oh golly gee. Okay, give me a sec. I need to restart the timer like I restarted the other things because of all the internet stuff that happened. There we go. Okay, now if I do this... Hey, okay, we have a timer. We will be back in 5 minutes.
2, 3, and 4. Count what you have now. Don't count what you don't have. Count what you have now. Don't count what you don't have. Find that you have so much. 頑張りすぎる自分に疲れてふと泣けてきた真夜中のバスルームでまだ手にしたことのない幸せがどこかにある気がして焦るのは年のせい楽しく生きてきたの何一つ悔やんでないけど曇った鏡のように明日が見えない Can't you see, can't you see 自由と孤独は二つでセット気ままなほど寂しさもついてくるDon't you know 隣の芝生が青く見えたらこの庭に花を植えればいい
Wait, where'd the music go? Excuse me. Huh. Apologies. What? There we go.
ないものねだりしながらみんな迷って生きてる大人になってからも足元に咲いた綺麗な花に気づくだけで人は嬉しい るものさし自分の心の中にあるのさ足りないもの数えるくらいなら足りてるもの数えてごらんよ Count what you have now Don't count what you don't have Can't you see, can't you see have now Don't count what you don't have You can't have so much You can't find Can't you see, can't you see have now Don't count what you don't have You can't have so much
Whoops, sorry for the extra long delay there. Welcome back, everyone. If I hit play, there we go. We're back with our grooviness. Oh. There we go. Hello. We're back. Hopefully y'all are hydrated. Now we are working on our start of structs. No. I opened up strings when I was looking for structs. That's why I was confused. When I opened this up, I was like, this doesn't seem to match what we were looking at. We are looking not for strings, but for structs, which is the one below. Here we go. Okay. Oh, golly. Okay. Address all the to-dos to make the tests pass. To do something goes here, to do something goes here. To do instantiate a classic C-style struct. To do instantiate a tuple struct. To do instantiate a unit-like struct. Ooh. Okay. I'm gonna, again, puzzle this out, do my best. Our color classic struct is going to have red or let red Or would it just be red I32? Comma. Green I32, comma, blue I32. Classic C-style struct. And then a tuple struct. I32, I32, I32. And now unit-like struct. I don't know. Oh, couldn't we use something smaller than I32 since our values are 0 to 255? Totally. I'm just defaulting to an I32 because I'm thinking in this like terms of like, oh, it's just what an int is. But theoretically, 255 is 8 bytes, right? We could do an I8. I'm like 90% sure that an I8 is what all we need here, which is cool that we can do that. I have yet to use a programming language, or I have yet to do this in a programming language, deliberately select the size of an int to match the size of what we need. Yeah, an I8 can hold 255. Now, the only thing I don't know yet is that unit-like struct, but let's do the other ones. Instantiate a classic C-style struct. Let green, 0, 255, 0. Ooh, those are I32s. What we actually want is a color classic struct. Zero. Right? There we go. I believe that that is the correct syntax. We'll see in the compiler. And then here in our tuple struct, it's the same instantiation. Tuple. Let's check our compiler here. How? Whoa. Ho, ho, ho. I'm restarting this because that seemed like a lot of errors that it does not make sense to me to have that many errors. Okay, great. Many fewer errors. Oh. Help use struct literal syntax instead. Ah, okay. That, duh. Okay, great. And now all we have is the unit-like struct, which I believe that is. I have actually absolutely no idea. We're going to do a hint here. Hint. Rust is more than one type of struct. 3 actually, all variants related to package, all used to package related data together. There are normal, classic types, tuples, and a unit, which don't have any fields and are useful for generics. Okay, if it doesn't have any fields, do we just... Can we just do that? Line 34. Dramatic tension is very appropriate here because I just did this and now we're getting errors on line 34. Which is confusing to me, to say the least. Literal out of range for an I8. Oh, because an I8 is signed. I forgot about that. It should be an I16. I was trying to be too smart. I'm sure there's an unsigned I8 somewhere, but that is not the point of this section. Ooh. Oh, that's why. One of my asserts failed because I typed in the wrong data. Hey! Unsigned int is U8. Ah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Let's try this. Great. Okay. Thank you, Phasic. Okay, we now know about the 3 types of structs. Now we're moving on to struct challenge number 2. This is always so scary when it's just like everything is broken. Okay. Address all to-dos. We have a struct that is order, name, year, 3 booleans, number, count. We have create order template, which is a... What would this be considered? Is this a constructor? I believe so. This is like some C-style stuff. I believe this is a constructor. I always think of it as like an initializer function. Anyway, using the update syntax. Let your order what is the update syntax? Definition? Maybe that's not the word that I recognize. Let's get a hint here. What is the update syntax? Go to the book to find out more. Okay, thank you. Very useful hint. Okay. So we have our struct definition. We create an instance. We have our build user function. Field init shorthand. Because the parameters and names of the struct are exactly the same, we can use the field init syntax, shorthand syntax, to rewrite build user so it behaves exactly the same but doesn't have the repetition of user and email. Ah, okay, so we can just say username, email, and because it's the same between the two, it'll automatically fill those in. And here's the update syntax. So here we have user2, which is equal to user and these, or we can just tell it to copy from user1. Okay. So equal order name okay. Got lost in my windows here. Name, hacker in Rust. Count 1 ... order template. Ooh, expected string. Excuse me, what? Interesting. String from Bob. I dislike that. Great. I get it. String literals are stored in with the compiled machine code, right? I think. Either way, I understand how it goes from this is a reference to a string literal to we are creating a string variable that is stored in the stack. It just feels a little bit clunky. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that. Yeah, string literals get baked into the binary at compile time. Okay. Great. We now know the update syntax. What did I say in the Discord announcement? Oh, I don't have Discord open anymore. We'll see if we can get through. I think you can see what's in there with strings, path to binary file. Cool. Very cool. I agree, Aaron. Dimmer, what's your thoughts on Rust till now? Very cool. I'm loving the compiler, and I don't feel like you could do something like Rustlings where I'm just like trial and erroring based on compiler messages and a few small hints in any other language. Like that just does not feel possible. Like the compiler is very descriptive. Warning, there can be a lot of junk in there to sift through, but if people are curious to look, I appreciate that. But yeah, Rust seems cool. And I appreciate how this can reduce debug time. Especially for things that like you want to write once and have run basically forever. Okay. Let's move on to structs 3. Structs contain data, but also have logic, but can also have logic. Isn't that just a class at that point? No, I'm trying to think back to, again, when I learned C-style structs. They can also contain logic. It is that they don't have any public-private, like, an inheritance stuff. I think that is the difference. I might be incorrect about that. No, they might even have inheritance. Anyway. Structs contain data, but can also contain logic. What does the derive debug attribute mean? Derive debug. We have not been introduced to what these mean yet. I honestly don't know. Basically, yes. It's similar to C in that structs can have functions inside them. It's also how to implement classes. Great, okay. Make the code compile and the tests pass. Thank you. That's such a descriptive instruction on what to do. Okay, we have our 2 spots with our question marks of the return type, and something goes here. So we have our struct. And then I'm assuming this is implements, or the implementations of package, where we have our functions that relate to the struct. We'll learn about error handling later. Great. Function new. So this is our constructor, where we are returning a package. It's a trait. I don't know what it is referring to there, Radhesh. May had lots of fun, but I'm tired. Thanks and bye. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good rest. Debug. Okay, good to know. Traits is right here, so we'll learn about them eventually. Is international, I'm assuming should return a bool. And we should return. Oh, we don't actually need the return keyword there. It should be sender country equals recipient country. And then get fees should just return weight self dot weight in grams. It's interesting that that isn't auto. Oh, it's because of this. That's why it's not auto completing. This should return a float. Great. There we go. Self weight in grams. Actually, let's look at the implementation here. Okay, it should return a U32 because we're going to return the number of cents. So it's self weight in grams times cents per gram. And if we do this, woo, okay, we fail some tests. We fail local package and international package. Ah, this should be a not equals. Great. Logic error. Okay. That's fairly self-explanatory. Again, this the best thing that I can think of is relating this to object-oriented stuff in my head with self and all of that. Great, okay. We have now finished structs. I believe the next thing is enums. It is enums 1. Hey, thanks for the follow. Fly is my name. Enums. Okay. To define a few types of messages as used below. I believe that all we need to do here is quit, echo, move, change, color, and that should just work. Great. Okay. That's very similar to any enums that I've used in other languages. Enums 2. To define the different variants used below. Aha. Now these have functionality by the looks of it. I'm going to try doing what we did before. Just, move, echo, change, color, quit. And you'll notice immediately we're getting issues with fields. So move has 2 fields. X, I'm going to use a U32. Y, U32. Echo contains a string, and change color contains a tuple. I'm going to save this. I don't believe this is going to pass. Yeah. Call expression requires function. Call expression requires function. Is there such things as arrow functions? Doesn't look like that syntax is what I want it to be. Let's look at the hint here, because it looks like this should have, you can create enumerations that have different variables with different types, such as no data, anonymous structs, a single string, tuples, etc. Expected comma. Expected 3 arguments. Found 1. 3 arguments. Okay, so that's our 1 argument. Now if I do this, this feels jank. RGB. So I don't trust that this is necessarily going to compile. Yeah, okay. Oh, golly, okay. Ooh, golly gee. What about echo string or something like that? Expected comma. This is, let's take a look at in the Rust book, enums and pattern matching. Great, very simplistic. Echo string. So that's what we did before. It might be different. But I had str in there, and it still errored out. Oh? Maybe that. Interesting. Okay. Good call. Let's see why. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. So what we've done here is we have two different, we have an enum and a struct. And it is an enum of structs that we have created here. Wait. Using an enum has even more advantages. Thinking about our IP address type, at the moment we don't have a way to store the actual IP address data, we only know what kind it is. Given that you just learned about structs in chapter 5, we might be attempted to tackle this problem with structs, where you have a kind that is IP address kind, which uses our enum and our address. Rather than enum and style struct, we can put our data directly into each enum variant. This new definition of the IP address enum says that both v4 and v6 variant will have associated string values. Interesting. This is a little bit brain breaking that we can put things inside of enum variants. We attach data to each variant of the enum directly, so there is no need for an extra struct. Here it's also easier to see another detail of how enums work. The name of each enum variant that we define also becomes a function that constructs the instance. Okay. Interesting indeed. This is definitely very different from anything I've seen before. But it compiles, and I half understand this. So we're going to try moving on to the next challenge and see if it gets more fleshed out here. Address all to-dos. There are 2 to-dos here. Okay. To do, implement the message variant types based on their usage below. To do, create match expressions to process the different message variants. Okay. That's the next thing here, the match control flow. Okay. So I'm looking at this, and we have a structure that is called point. We have a structure that is called state, which contains, so point contains x and y, which are both unsigned 8-bit ints. And state contains a couple of different, we have color, position, quit, and message. Now the thing that we want to look at is message, the different types of messages there are, which are change color, echo, move, and quit. Ah, haha, okay, so we can use this from our previous one, where we have our 4 message types. And now we're going to use this data down here. What did I just hit? Oh, I just hit page up. Okay. So match coin. In this case, it's going to be match message. Great. So then if it is a message, what's the ordering? We have them up here. Move. We now get a function. Move xy. Ooh. Okay. self dot position dot x plus equals x, self dot position dot y plus equals y. That's our first function here. Our second is for echo, which should be easy to implement. Do we just return it? Yes, we just returned it. This seems wrong to me, but we'll see how that turns out in the compiler. Then we have message, change color, R, G, and B. I keep hitting page up by accident. RGB. You can tell I'm both yawning and pressing keys wrong more. My focus has decreased as we've gone through this. It has been a lot that we've learned today. Okay, self.color. And we want to set color equal to. Oh, wait, we want to pass in a tuple. That's what this was saying. We are passing in a tuple. So you'll need extra parentheses. What? Oh, these are the types, not the values. I32, I32, I32. No. RGB. Oh, if our message is change color. Maybe I32. See, this compiles, or this doesn't show an error with our language server. So I don't know what this is doing here. We'll see. It'll show up in our compiler. Color dot 1 equals R. Self dot color, or color 0, color 1 equals G. Self dot color equals B. And now, last but not least, we have message, quit. Which, what does quit do? Nothing? Oh, God. Well, okay, this is completely broken. We have 2 minutes left in the stream, so we will finish this later. Thank you all so much for coming. I know I have learned a lot in today's stream, and my brain is a little bit broken now, but we'll be coming back to this tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So that's an hour earlier than when we started today. and we'll be continuing down this path. We definitely will not be finishing it, but again, this is Rustlings, so you can download this and follow it yourself. I know I definitely will be sometime in the future. We'll see when I can make time for that. And then on Monday and Wednesday, I am doing streams on securely self-hosting an encrypted server. So I'm really excited for that. Hopefully you'll be too. Coming up right after this is nothing. But 6 hours from now, we have create a voting system with Next.js and smart contracts with David, which should be very cool. Until then, you can hang out in the MLH Discord at discord.mlh.io. Again, thank you all so much for coming, and happy hacking, and keep it crispy, y'all. Bye. You are so welcome, Ron. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for participating. Thanks for suggesting so much in chat. This was really wonderful. Thanks for coming, Phasic. Always wonderful to see you.